Good afternoon. My name is Naomi Hirose. It is my great pleasure to be here to speak to you today. I'd like to thank Stanford Graduate School of Business for providing me this opportunity. It has been almost 8 years since the accident of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. Unfortunately, the current plant condition is getting very, very better and very stable condition. And then situation of the surrounding communities are also getting better day by day. Although the accident itself was very, very severe one, but we have learned a lot from the accident. We have experienced a lot since the accident. So taking this opportunity, I'd like to, it is my great pleasure to share some of the lessons and experiences that we had since the accident. Since the time is limited, I will speak maybe 30 minutes or so, and then I'd like to answer to your questions after that. So I wonder if how much you remember the accident 8 years ago. It's been 8 years. So let me begin with a brief explanation of what exactly happened 8 years ago. It was Friday afternoon, 2:46, March 11, 2011. The very, very big earthquake hit Japan. Epicenter was right in front of our power station, nuclear power station, about 180 some kilometers, 110 miles east of power station, with the magnitude of 9.0. This one is the biggest earthquake in Japan. I heard this is the fourth largest in the world recorded history. And at the time of the accident, at the time of the earthquake, what happened in our nuclear power plant is what we call scrum. Scrum means stopping, inserting the fuel control rods between the nuclear fuels so that it stopped nuclear fission. Stopping nuclear fission means stopping power generation. So a nuclear power plant didn't produce power anymore, so it needed the power for itself. The power was supposed to come from outside through the power line. But unfortunately, one of the power pylon fell down because of the earthquake. So we didn't receive any power from the outside. So immediately after that, the emergency power generation, such as turbine generators and then batteries, started working and then producing power. So using those powers, we controlled the power plants again. I was in the headquarters, and I still remember that I was very much relieved with the first report that I received. The report said that a scrum was successfully made and plant was under control. So I thought that because the Japan, we have a lot of big earthquakes. we get used to it, and we had those scrum situation experiences before the accident. So I thought that this was one of the past events. But 15 minutes later, devastating tsunami hit Japan. Probably you have seen from the TV news or TV from the broadcast that the tsunami was approaching to the east coast of Japan. It's like a huge surfing wave. It's coming. Unfortunately, nobody in a nuclear power plant was taking video of tsunami approaching to their nuclear power plant. Because I guess they are busy handling the power plants after the big earthquake. But the one guy in our thermal power plant was taking video of tsunami hitting his thermal power plant. That thermal power plant is Hirono Thermal Power Station here, which is about 20 kilometers, 12 miles south of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. So it's very close. So I guess that the similar situation was going on in nuclear power plants. So let's watch the video of his. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. Let's. Okay. Okay. And yeah. Sorry. This is Pacific Ocean. That side is north. That side is south. Tokyo is this side. Actually, tsunami came not directly from east, a little bit south. So from here to here. Please take a look at these automobiles. They look like leaves. Again, this is not the nuclear power plant. This is thermal power plants. But I think that you can have some kind of images what's going on in our nuclear power plant. It's so similar. So this is it. So this movie goes on and on. So let's stop watching this movie. So actually, this is a map of Fukushima Daiichi. This is Pacific Ocean. This side is north. This side is south. Tokyo is that side. And there are units number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this blue area was inundated with seawater. And then they washed away turbine generators, batteries, and then electric boards, and everything. You know that the nuclear fuel keep vast amount of heat even after the nuclear fission stopped. So we had to cool them down by recirculating water. But we lost power completely. It was a SBO, it's called station blackout. So we lost everything. So pump stopped, of course. And the temperature of the nuclear fuel start going up. And the uranium rods are covered with the metal called zircaloy. This material start melting at the temperature around 1500 degrees Celsius. So it started melting. And vast amount of hydrogen was formed by the chemical reaction with water. And you know that the hydrogen is lighter than the air, so it went up. And then nuclear power building has no wind, it's sealed. So the hydrogen went up and then accumulated on the top of the building inside. And we still do not know what ignited, but obviously there are many aftershocks. So that those electric bulbs might fall down, or pipe shaft might fall down. So those things might ignited the explosion. And hydrogen explosion took place at Unit 1, Unit 3, and Unit 4. And probably you have seen these pictures, this miserable situation of the Fukushima Daiichi. And as you see, the top of the building was exploded. So it became kind of open to the air, so that the radioactive material spread outside the building and spread outside the site to the local community. And this left-hand side map shows that the radiation dose level of right after the accident. It's 1 month after the accident. So obviously the wind came from southeast to northwest, so that the contaminated area spread toward the northwest. Here's a plant. So this is contaminated. But take a look at this right-hand side picture. This is as of November 2017, so it's 6.5 years after the accident. It looks much better now, because we did a lot of decontamination work in this area, and then also, as you know, that the radioactive level goes down as time goes by. So it looks much better now. And this is the evacuation zone. The government, right after the accident, it designated the evacuation zone within a radius of 20 kilometers, 12 miles. So somewhere in this area was the evacuation zone. But decontamination work went on so that the evacuation zone is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And still, but only 2 towns left remain in evacuation zone. This is this pink area. And this is the number of evacuees from evacuation zone. And now still 20,000 people cannot go home, even if they would like to. But please don't misunderstand. This is not the number of the people of the evacuation. There are many people used to live in this area, moved, and then they didn't come back yet. So actually the number of the people left home is about 50,000 people or something like that. So this 20,000 means that they used to live in this pink area, and then still, so it means that they cannot go home even if they want to. So our mission, one of our missions is to rehabilitate, revitalize, and then rehabilitate this area so that people can go home if they want to. That's about our story of the accident and then aftermath of the accident. Let me explain about the current situation of the power plant. As I said, that the power plant is now stable shutdown, cold shutdown condition, and under control. Cooling water is being circulated continuously, and then temperatures and then other parameters are also monitored continuously 24/7, and plant is under control. And it looks okay now. And also that the situation of the plant site has been very much improved. This red area is the site of the Fukushima Daiichi. And all in this area, we had to wear this kind of protective gear, full face masks, and 3 pairs of gloves, and 2 pairs of socks. It looks very, difficult to work there, and then bizarre situation. But now, 96% of the area is called what we call green zone, where we do not have to wear any protective gear anymore. So we can go to the this plant with this in a normal clothes, so that it looks like this. So that they can work in a safe place, safer place. So it's the situation is getting better, much better. There is a cafeteria so that they can eat hot meals, and convenience store, and they can even take shower in the buildings. So the situation is very much improved. But I would say there are 2 major difficult challenges ahead of us. One is removing nuclear fuels from spent fuel pools, and the other is removing fuel debris, molten fuels. Let me talk about spent fuel first. This upper side, right-hand side corner, this is a spent fuel pool of the unit. And in each unit, there are spent fuel stored in the pool. And take a look at unit number 4. Unit number 4 was not operation on March 11, 8 years ago. So that all the nuclear fuel was removed from reactor buildings to the spent fuel pools. So that there are that many spent fuel in the spent fuel pool. So we took them out, all 1,535 fuel bundles out of unit number 4. So as far as the unit number 4 is concerned, there is no nuclear material inside the building, in the reactor, in the spent fuel pool, nothing. So as far as unit number 4 is concerned, risk level is very, very low now. So now we are trying to take this 566 spent fuel out of unit number 3. This is a situation of the unit number 3. Because of the explosion, it was a mess on the top of the building. So we had to take all the bubbles out of the top of the building. And then now we built this cylinder-shaped structure on the top of the building. And inside, we installed the crane and fuel handling machines. And we are about to start taking 566 fuel bundles out of spent fuel pool of unit number 3. Probably next month, we will do that. And let me talk about the debris. This is a situation of the unit 1, 2, 3. The situation is different in each unit. And mostly, the fuel used to set here in the reactors. But fuels are molten and then dropped to the base of the container vessel. And let me talk about unit number 2. We developed the different kinds of the robotics and then let them go in and then monitor the inside of the reactor. As far as the unit number 2, because of the penetration somewhere in here is very narrow, so that we developed fishing rod and fishing line type robotics. And on the top of the end of the fishing line, we put a camera and then some monitoring device, and then we let them in and then try to find out what's going on inside here. And then about 1 year ago, we took pictures of this molten fuel debris from the above. This is a picture of that. So this is here, right here, from the top. I don't know what it looks, but anyway, inside many things are molten and then fell down. So in it, there is a molten nuclear fuel, uranium. And then exactly last week, we touched these things. We developed different kinds of the magic hand things, and then we touched here. And then we actually picked up several of those things. It looked like a pebble. And then we found out we can pick up things. Oh, we didn't take them out because we didn't prepare the container yet. So, but anyhow, we found out we could pick up things. But these parts, some of the part was very stiff, so that we have to develop some other device. Maybe we chopped up or anything, things with a magic hand type. And we will take part of these things within the next year, and then find out what's inside or what's the kind of ingredients of this. So this is the actual situation of the plant right now. Let me talk about TEPCO's financial situation. This is a historical profit loss things. And because of the accident, we recorded huge losses for 3 consecutive fiscal years. But after that, we have recorded a so good amount of the profit. And compared to those before the accident and then after the accident, it looks very similar. So it looks really good, doesn't it? But actually, it isn't that easy. Please take a look at this, take a look at this total estimated cost of the accident. This is an estimation made by the government. So still nobody knows actually how much it costs, but this is one of the estimation. This estimation consists with 3 parts: nuclear damage compensation, and then decontamination of the local area, surrounding communities, and decommissioning of the nuclear power plants. And the total estimated cost of the accident is $200 billion US. $200 $200 billion US. And then 3/4 of this is TEPCO's responsibility. The TEPCO's responsibility is $145 billion US. This is very huge. I would say this is too huge to imagine, or too huge to manage, the idea. So let me put it this way. Fortunately, we do not need this much money in cash immediately, because it is said that decommissioning takes 30 to 40 years. So let me divide this $145 billion by 30 years. So it ends up with $5 billion a year. Still very big. Let me check our performances in the past several years. In fiscal 2015, 16, 17, and probably 18, the fiscal 18 will be over next month. So probably fiscal 2018, we spent compensation expense 1.some billion, and we for the decommissioning expenses also 1.some billion. So after spending these expenses for around 3 billion, still we recorded ordinary income of 2.some billion. So it total is almost $5 billion US a year. Probably this fiscal year too, we will make similar things. I'm not saying that we can do that, or it's rather easy task, because we have to do this. We have to keep these things for another 26, 27 years. So it's not easy. But as CEO, this number, $5 billion a year, is a very, very important benchmark, because $145 billion is too big to I don't know how to do this. So every year I keep watching our performances, and then if it's more than 5 billion, it's good. But if it's less than 5 billion, we have to cover next year. That's all. So this $5 billion a year is very important figure as a benchmark. Okay, that's about the TEPCO's financial situation. And let me talk about some activities outside the power plant. As I said, we would like to rehabilitate. We have to, revitalize the surrounding community so that people can go home if they want to. But compensation money is not enough to realize that situation, because the ADS means very, very much. Their houses, their homes are messed up. The wild animals are running around, and then it's just a mess. So that they need clean up their houses when they come home, or snow shoveling in winter, or weeding. Those activities are necessary for them to come back, and these activities are now being done by TEPCO's employees. This is very, very Japanese way of taking responsibility. I know. I didn't force them. I asked them to help. I asked my people to help doing these things. But I didn't force them to do that. But fortunately, they are very much willing to participate in these activities. And then total number of person days spent in this in Fukushima doing these things ended up reached over 450,000 person days in the past 6 years. So our number of our employees is nearly 30,000. So everybody spent at least 15 or more days in Fukushima doing these things. I know this is very Japanese, but at the same time, I'm very, very much proud of them helping the company in a very difficult situation. I know I'm running out of time. Let me talk about the lesson that we learned from the accident. I listed 3 things. I learned a lot, but 3 things. One is instilling safety culture. Because this accident is very, very severe, so you have to learn a lot about safety. And the second thing is effective communication. It's very important to have the effective communication internally, externally. And third thing is building solidarity. I know I'm running out of time, so let me talk about these things, building solidarity. And then if you have other question, I would answer to your question later. Building solidarity. This is as CEO, I think this part is most important. When your organization is in deep trouble, this is the most important part. Because, as I said, we have to, before that, at the time of the accident, the number of our employees is nearly 40,000. Among them, only 10%, 3,500, something like that, belong to nuclear-related section. The rest of the 90% of the people belong to the other department, so had nothing to do with nuclear. And because this is nuclear accident, so it's kind of natural and inevitable for the 90% of people feel, how come my salary cut? This is a nuclear accident. My job is climbing up that electric pole and then fixing wires. Or how come my salary was cut? That's a kind of inevitable and natural feeling. I would have felt that way if I were one of them. But as I said, we need to make $5 billion a year for the rest of 26 and 27 years. And the people need to come back home, weeding, cleaning up, and snow shoveling in winter. These things can't be done by 10% of the people, right? We need support, help from everybody, every one of us. And then they are helping us. So in order to have that kind of sense of the responsibility or togetherness, sense of togetherness or united, it's very important to do big things under the very difficult situation. So the building solidarity among our people is very, very important. So what I did to make this happen, I visited field offices and then power stations as many times as possible. Please remember that TEPCO CEO is very, very busy. Now, I was called to testify at the Diet Committee 200 times within 5 years, 200 times. So they called me the night before. So everything has to be canceled. So anyway, so it's busy. But whatever, and then how much short, if I have kind of spare time, I visited field office or power station and saw as many people as possible, and then had direct face-to-face communication, eye-to-eye communication. And then what I said to them was, I didn't talk about rosy, bright future of the company. Instead, I talked rather very difficult reality of the company. But I added at the end, we can do that. We can manage. We have to cope with these challenges, and then we can do that. I don't know how much this kind of things worked. I don't know. But I would say that the sense of responsibility of our people, morale, or motivation, I think I would say still very high. And then because there is a big challenges ahead of us. But we have to take responsibility of that accident, and then we will continue to do so. Well, thank you very much.